It's Wednesday, December 5th, 2019. I'm just checking in on you, checking in on me. I don't know. That's what I got right now. I'm sticking with it. I know it's not great. Anyways, say hello to me in the chat. You can see higher quality on Twitch and YouTube. This is on Facebook. And right now, just if you want to know what these two guys are arguing about, it's like an epic long, almost 4-hour argument. This guy, he's like UFC kind of dude. He spent like years making this documentary. He's now vegan and he thinks like meat and dairy are bad. And this other guy's like, no, you should include some meat in your diet. And he's like a bit of a scientist, a nutritionist, although he claims like sort of to be, but not really. And he like spoke a lot of shit to this guy online, and he got pissed. So he like wants. He's really good. Like at first I was on the meat eater side, and now slowly he's winning me over. It's been actually pretty good for a Rogan episode. I haven't been listening to much lately, so don't judge me. Yeah, I'm gonna start this. Oh yeah, and I wanted to quickly test if my chat was working. The other day it wasn't. So sorry to the jury. Let me skip ahead. Where is this Okay. Saw the symbol. I think it's working. We'll see if it pops up and stuff. Yep. Hey. Oh, let it go so low. Kind of like it low.
Right, sure. Saw
yeah. And it's the same thing where he'll sort of try and show that fish, you know, he'll the TMAO, for example, you'll say, well, how can TMAO be bad?
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. But let's stick with red meat. Why do you think red meat's bad?
Well, TMAO is one of them.
Okay.
In red meat, just like heme, but I just showed as inflammatory. But heme is associated with cardiovascular risks, and that heme is found in meat.
And eating plants and a healthy diet pattern.
It offsets it. Absolutely, yeah. It offsets
Is there evidence that eating meat by itself is associated with cardiovascular disease?
Nobody ever has eaten meat by itself.
What about these carnivore diet people?
Well, there's no research.
Those guys
on
are the canaries in the coal mine, aren't they?
There's no research on that. So that's one of my people just eating all meat diet.
Yeah, there's not. Yeah, I mean, we both agree. Like let's just create a false dichotomy first. If there was like all animal product diet, not just carnivore, but eggs and all this stuff, and then there was a fully plant-based diet, supplement would be 12. Which one would you have to? If false dichotomy.
I'd probably pick the plant diet.
Probably.
Although I would be concerned about nutrient deficiency. Yeah, I've never advocated for the carnivore diet. I've said as much in the class.
That says something about plants, right?
Plants are awesome.
Right, so we agree on that.
Yeah, he's never had anything wrong.
No.
What all he's ever said was that eliminating all animal products from your diet is probably not healthy unless you follow a very strict routine when you make sure that you have all your bases covered nutritionally. That's what Chris has said from the jump.
Yeah, no.
And I would extend that and just say that I don't think there's strong evidence suggesting that including some animal products in your whole foods plant-based diet is harmful.
That's the stormland.
Hopefully no one saw that.
It's an voltage
And I even said that the range of that can vary tremendously.
make
Could
it
be
operational
5%
again.
for someone who's just eating mostly plant-based diet and they're eating some shellfish and organ meats for the nutrient density. Or you could have someone who eats more animal products. And it depends on the person and what their needs are.
I go with that first half, the second half. But just to back up what Joe does, slide 62. Because I mentioned this earlier, but we didn't put a slide on. But I think the graphic, again, I know most people are listening, so I
No, fuck, I forgot to load.
Differences in postprandial inflammatory responses to a modern versus traditional meat meal.
So this is basically the kangaroo. This is kangaroo meat versus beef. Wagyu beef, is that how you pronounce it?
Wagyu.
Okay, so you'd recognize that markers in CRP, TNF alpha, and IL-6 are inflammatory markers.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I just want to point out that, like, yeah, if you're going to eat 90% plants and you're going to eat the rest of it from animal products, I think that wild-caught elk and kangaroo meat, stuff like that, would be the way to go, by far.
Well, it just makes sense.
So, but just to show you, like, look at there's about half the information, roughly, coming from the wild caught.
That makes sense because most of the time when you're dealing with beef, you're dealing with this grain-fed, unhealthy animal. When you're talking about Wagyu beef, that's a dying animal. I mean, if you saw a person whose muscle tissue looked like a Wagyu steak, you'd be like, bro, you gotta get on a fucking diet. You know? I mean, really. But if you saw, like, you know, an athlete, if you looked at an athlete's muscle tissue, it would look like a piece of elk, most likely. It would look very lean and healthy.
What the hell am I doing?
So anyway, I just wanted to point out that that shows a couple of things. It shows that meat does create inflammation.
I would like to see this on grass-fed meat, as
totally.
opposed to this feedlot.
This
No,
is like
totally.
straight up
But like, even
exploring
if
for
it
no
matched
reason, you know.
you know, the kangaroo meat, we're still seeing inflammation. And yeah, and certainly, like he said, I agree. If you're going to eat animal foods, I think it's wise, timing-wise, to eat a lot of plant foods with those animal foods. Right?
Well, I definitely think
if you're going to eat animal foods, you should eat a lot of plants with it.
There's also a lot of benefits to it in terms of fiber, in terms of the bio.
That microbiome.
Yeah, there's a lot of benefits to having these fermented vegetables as well. You know, things like kimchi and having things that provide you with good probiotics. All these things, there's great benefit to a lot of plant foods.
Yeah, and people on plant-based diets just end up naturally getting more fiber. Like most people are deficient in fiber, right? And if you look at like the Paleolithic period, you'd be looking at like maybe 100 grams of fiber.
I agree.
And
very high fiber intake.
And people on plant-based diets get more fiber than people on other diets.
As long as you're eating healthy, as we both agree.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Eating
so,
pasta and pizza and bullshit.
But just to be fair though, even in vegans and vegetarians in all of the studies, they're still getting more fiber despite the fact that you and I would agree they're not eating the healthiest diet. Overall, completely plant-based people are the only people that would fall within the recommended BMI range. People that get the most fiber.
BMI range, body mass index? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah, but body mass.
It's not a great measure.
That's a shitty one, right? That makes sense.
Yeah.
There's a lot of nonsense.
I agree generally that if you look at people who are on a vegetarian or vegan diet compared with people on the standard American diet, then they're going to be
and people
healthier.
But that's the American diet. You take someone who's eating healthy plates of broccoli and kale and also has a piece of grass-fed meat. That's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about people that are following a conscious diet.
No, I totally agree. Of course, you're going to see markers. Like, for example, the longest study on a paleo diet, right? They had a 2-year follow-up, and they lost body fat, they had improved blood markers. What was really interesting is, okay, they were told to eliminate dairy, right? So you cut out dairy. They were told to reduce the amount of, or cut out completely processed plant foods, like white flour and sugar and all this kind of stuff. They were told to increase their fruits and vegetables, and they were told to increase their meat consumption. And they got, improved health markers all across the board. Right. Now, what was interesting is, at the end of the 2 years, what they found was that people had not stuck with the meat recommendations. So they kept their meat recommendations the same. They got out processed junk food, right? The trans fat and stuff that you'd all agree with we should get out of our diet, right? They took out milk out of their diet, and they increased the amount of plant foods. So it's very clear that the benefit did not come from increasing meat consumption. It came from increased plant food consumption.
Or eliminating bullshit.
Yeah, and
I think the benefit is decreasing bullshit.
Right. It's a twofold thing, right?
Yes.
You cut out things that are inflammatory, and you put in things that are anti-inflammatory. You cut out things that are low in antioxidants. You incorporate things that are high in antioxidants. So that was the major benefit. It wasn't from increased meat consumption.
Who's saying it is from increased meat consumption?
No, I'm just saying that was the benefit of the paleo diet, is going in a more whole food plant.
Right, but I think that's what everyone says. The idea is that you eliminate processed foods, you eliminate sugar, you eliminate these things that are just filled with...
But we know that it's not just, it's a twofold difference when you incorporate whole plant foods. There's the opportunity cost, so you're getting rid of crap. And in my personal opinion and based on the consensus, you're replacing both highly processed foods and animal foods, and you're incorporating more whole plant foods. And that is the scientific consensus, is to upgrade the workbench to
fabricate better weapons.
I'd say the same thing about the benefits you see with
This storm
vegetarian
portal
and
is back
vegan
online.
studies comparing
It will
with
take you closer to
standard
I agree.
modern diet.
I agree.
You're removing a lot of the crap.
Cool.
I agree. But what studies have you got comparing the nutrivore diet to a whole food plant-based diet? We don't have them. We have to infer. And when we infer, we have to rely on experts that are experts in their field. Right? We don't turn to Chris and go, okay, can you tell us more about nutrition and ecology and all these experts?
Keep your sensors sharp.
I agree.
See what you can
shouldn't
find.
Just listen to me, but
There
I don't
are
think
supplies
it's
in Cloud
genuine
Reef that will
to
help us
suggest
make our
that
way to Terminus.
There's a consensus that a whole food plant-based diet is a better choice than a plant-based diet that also contains some animal products.
Right, small amount. I agree. It would be hard to
with
prove
you
that
that
To
we
reach
have
Terminus,
no
you'll need
studies
to
on
restore
that,
the storm
and we
portal.
probably won't,
But it
unfortunately,
won't be
in
easy.
the near future.
The Tempests are
because
using a
Right,
jamming
especially
signal
for
to
long-term
lock it
outcomes, because
down.
you can't put people
Look at
on
your
for
palm
40 years.
display
Yeah.
for more
They're not-
information.
So I agree that it's
The
hard.
Tempests have installed
Again,
2
I've said
jammers
before
within Cloud Reach.
that we should be getting the vast
As you
majority of
near a
like Alex and
jammer,
whole plant
I will be
foods.
able
I
to
think there's enough in the
pinpoint
literature to
its
show.
location.
And the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics recognizes that completely vegan diets are helpful for all life stages, including for athletes. I think that there's sufficient evidence to go 100%, but I'm not telling people that they should be doing that. I'm saying you can eat whatever they want. But I think we both agree that people should be getting out junk food, right? And soda and trans fats. Oh, by the way, on trans fats,
Vesper, I could use your help with something.
So that's,
Did
I
you
mean,
guys-
that's
The
why
Tempests
I
are
asked
using
you at the
harvester
beginning of the
launchers all
show
across the
what your
Stormland.
position was, because
I believe they are collecting alloy
that's
and
the
refining
fundamental
it to
question
produce
from me,
power.
is this
I've
question
been
that
tracking
we're
the
talking
positions
about
of
right
all the
now,
watchers,
which is,
and one of them
is
has
there
stopped
sufficient
moving.
evidence to
I'm marking its
suggest
position on
that,
your map. If you can locate
everybody,
it,
most
you may
people,
be able
whatever
to
you
use
want
it
to
to
say,
get to the
should be
refinery
on
and destroy
100%
it.
or even 95% plant-based diet versus a plant-based diet that contains some animal products. And my argument all along has been no, there's not sufficient evidence.
right? But you also think that a completely plant-based diet is likely to be efficient and those other things.
Do you know?
I don't think
Do you know his history? You know
Yeah,
how
I
he
know,
started
and I think
out
that's
as a
why.
vegan?
Yeah, and that's why I think that there's emotional ties. I think
My history is not relevant. You know,
Well, I
that's,
think- I
that's
think
an
it is.
N equals 1. In
Well,
terms of
but
what
you
happened to
presented
me.
yourself. You said that I had like burst mood and like
Yeah, but I've
depression.
also said
So you-
there are people acknowledge that there are many successful
Right,
vegans
that's
and
the
vegan
business.
athletes.
Yeah,
like
you've
Rich Roll, for example.
invoked the N of 1, and also you didn't follow the scientific consensus about plant-based diets when you did it. So you chose a macrobiotic diet, and you chose a raw vegan
That
diet.
was those
which-
were just 2 iterations of
right.
what I
But why
did.
did you choose those when they weren't based on scientific consensus?
Because I wasn't. This was 20 years ago, and I wasn't paying attention to it.
Okay,
level
and so
that
then you
I'm at
traveled
now.
around the world and you got sick, and you attributed it to the diet, which it
No.
may or may not. That's what
I don't even know why we're talking. My experience.
Because it's relevant because it shows that, like, I don't know why you were vegan or vegetarian. Maybe it was for, like, animal rights reasons. Maybe you felt bad for going back to eating meat, so now you need to feel food. Like, the reason that you need to, try to debunk the film is because you've got a massive business, some supplements and protein powders, and giving diet advice. So our film doesn't make you...
I make very, very little money selling supplements, James. It's
No, I'm just
not
saying-
a
I'm saying
massive
overall.
business. It's basically a convenience for my patients. That's
I'm
not
just
my,
saying overall.
My business is basically training people
Right, but
and being a clinician. There's no. I don't profit from selling animal products.
You do
based
indirectly because you advise
interaction.
this diet. So the film was very bad for you personally. Because if people believed the film, which, like the Defense Health Agency, they review the film, they don't care about like this myth that we should eat in exactly the same
It's
way
not
as
the
our
same
ancestors.
spot.
Not that we even really ate that way. But they don't care about that myth. They care that what is going to be better for warfighter effectiveness and to cut the healthcare costs of our military. So they looked at the science independently. You think they're like the Defense Health Agency is full of vegans? I mean, so you have...
The film is neither here nor there for me.
But that's what we're here for. That's what you were trying to...
It's
you
not,
said that the film...
The reason that I'm here is because,
Ground watcher,
and the reason that I
what's
came
that?
when Joe invited me, and
I
he
appreciate you
can
coming.
probably
What
tell
is
you
this?
that it took a few invitations to get me here. It is just to provide the other side of the view. Not because it materially affects me in any way. Believe me, I've got lots of other things, as I told you in the email.
Yeah, so you do lots of other things not on nutrition. So even like my nutrition team, they spend full time either consulting elite athletes or military personnel, or they're digging into the research. Like our chief science advisor, 8 hours a day, all he does is dig into the latest research. So what you come onto Joe's podcast, and you're supposed to, like, people are supposed to believe that you are the best person to, because you say it's about meta-analysis.
The vegan guy just seems a little
What you're suggesting is that people should listen to your interpretation of the evidence when you get things factually wrong.
People should make up their own minds.
And you don't even need that. You don't even know how to read
evidence that we have provided.
And you don't even know how to read a basic forest plot. That is my point, because you're not certified. And you're not. I'm not a specialist in nutrition. Like, I would have liked to have brought David, our chief science advisor, who knows 100 times more about nutrition. And you're coming on here telling people what to eat. You said yourself you're not an expert in nutrition, and you don't know how to read the nutritional data.
Let's talk about some of the claims.
Good work.
Okay, let's talk about protein. Let's talk about no, we're talking about the film. Let's talk about the protein.
From the inside.
So, is that fair, Joe? We should get to right. Okay, so can I just so I understand your position? And I'm sorry for getting worked up. Like, I don't feel like I'm like an attorney trying to interrogate you, but I feel like I spent a lot of time digging into research. I had the research checked and checked and checked again. I had the research checked to make sure that it was not cherry picking, that it was reflective of the preponderance of evidence.
But who was checking it? Were they people who were not advocates of a whole food plant-based diet exclusively? Or were they people like, because all of the experts in the film are people who are clearly aligned with
the refinery
they're aligned. I interview them because they're aligned with the consensus. And over half of the people in the film.
I thought you just agreed that there is not a consensus that 100% plant-based diet is better than a diet that includes a lot of plants and some animal products.
Correct.
So where were the experts that would represent that point of view? That it doesn't have to be 100% plant-based diet.
I agree, it doesn't have to be 100%. The film said plant-based diet. Now, I'll tell you why we only interviewed vegans for the athletes, right? The ones that actually spoke on screen. And Arnold is not vegan. He doesn't drink dairy. He thinks it's for babies, and he's cut down meat by 80%. But all the people, I mean, Nate is not 100% vegan. He's on a largely plant-based diet. Eats a bit of seafood and a bit of stuff like that. But all the people interviewed, eggs as well. So. The reason that we only put, and by the way, we did interview Lauren Corday and Lauren Corday. We'll get to that as well. Because the anthropologists laughed in their faces when the claims that they made.
I'm talking about scientists who published these, who are on the teams that published the papers that I've shared.
Yeah, like Nutrirex, who are funded by the industry. We can get
no, not Nutrirex. That's disingenuous to claim that all of the research that I've shared is industry funded, so we can't acknowledge
but your
it.
claim that the recent study that just came out, and we're getting off track. The recent study that just came out that said that red meat and processed meat is totally fine. Right. Like, you really want to go with that? Like, to me, it feels like you don't have your finger on the pulse. Honestly, I'm not trying to be rude. I think you probably know a lot about the field. What? The Nutrirex study?
The study that said that red meat.
It's a Nutrirex study.
Okay.
So in the Annals of Internal Medicine, the day before the film came out, 6 studies exonerating red meat and processed meat, all from the same company, that are apparently giving recommendations. Well, guess what? Exponent and Nutrirex and companies like that are not the ones that give public recommendations on what people should use, number one. Okay? And we talked about this in the film, Exponent. Nutrirex is like another exponent. So
it really is there.
If you look at their recommendations, first of all, Frank Hu, who is now the chair of nutrition at Harvard, he took Walter Willet's place, said the panel's blanket recommendations that adults should continue to their red meat consumption habits is highly irresponsible. Walter Willett said it's the most egregious abuse of data he's ever seen. And if you want to follow their recommendations, if you put up slide 92. So they did the same thing in 2017 for the sugar industry. So there was a meta-analysis in the Annals of Internal Nutrirex. So Bradley Johnston is the director and co-founder of Nutrirex and the first author of the paper that we're talking about for red meat. Okay, that just exonerated red meat apparently and processed meat.
So this is the same company says at present there seems to be no reliable evidence indicating that any of the recommended daily caloric thresholds for sugar intake are strongly associated with negative health effects.
So they did a meta-analysis saying that don't worry about your intake of sugar at all. That was what their meta-analysis conclusion came to. And then 2 years later, the day before the film came out, and do you really think that's a coincidence? Do you think that so let me tell you something, okay? Of our email subscribers, do you know the email address of the person that opens and views our emails the most? It's from the Beef Checkoff program. And they've been doing that since we started. So they sign up for our mailing list, they look at when the film is coming out, and you think it's a coincidence that the day before our film comes out, they released a paper exonerating red meat and cancer. And the same study, so if you're going to buy into the Nutrirex study about red meat and cancer, then to be fair, you've also got to buy into their conclusions about sugar. Because they were paid, I'll tell you who they were paid by, okay? So financial support for that paper was funded by the technical, now listen to this, sounds great. The Technical Committee on Dietary Carbohydrates of ILSI North America, and ISI is the International Life Sciences Institute. Sounds pretty legit, right? So its members include Coca-Cola, Hershey Company, Pepsi Company, and Red Bull, and a bunch of others.
Folks looking out for you best.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it would be a problem if that was the only.
So you claimed this recent study, and I honestly, again, no disrespect, you're busy with lots of other things. You run a successful business, consulting people, selling stuff. I get you don't have the time. You weren't able to read a basic forest law to look at statistical significance and I just don't think that you're the one to interpret the data. So the reason you don't have you haven't seen the hundreds of really respected scientists that have come out saying that this Nutrirex study, and by the way, there's an investigation into the annals of internal medicine because of this, for accepting this stuff from Nutrirex. If you're going to accept the meta-analysis on red meat and on processed meat for cancer, then you've also got to accept the 2017 study meta-analysis.
If you accept the source. If you accept the source.
They're both the same. It's the same Nutrirex.
The only meta-analysis that showed no association between red meat and heart disease or cancer, that would be
I'm talking about the one. First, I'm talking about the one that you scientists. You made out this is like second of all, I have pointed out that industry-funded research is 4 to 8 times more likely, right? To do. And going back to that dairy one, by the way, do you know that when they did their meta-analysis, they doubled and tripled and quadrupled up because when the meta-analysis to analyze the meta-analyses, the meta-analysis included the studies multiple times. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because they took it into account each time. So when the industry floods the scientific research with their funded studies, again, if they fund a study, it doesn't turn out.
They're studying other studies and coming to the same conclusion and adding those on as if it's an additional study. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's so. Look, if the industry funds studies and it only decide, if you're a beef industry or a dairy industry, are you going to put out studies that aren't in your favor? No, right? And you also
and they don't have to.
You spin it, and so what you do is if you want to make beef look, if you want to make saturated fat look okay. Or if you want to make cholesterol okay, you can switch things around the study to make it look good. If you want to look at eggs, and for example, and I don't want to get it can turn into a 3-hour debate about cholesterol and saturated fat, but if you
grab your right arm and pull to remove
10 eggs a week to 12 eggs a week, it doesn't raise your serum cholesterol. So that's how they did the study. But if you give no eggs a week to 1 egg a week, it does increase your, because there's something called the cholesterol plateau. So what the industry does is it tricks you. It does.
Pick up your new
but then
arm
when you
and
look
attach
at
it.
eggs and outcomes like cardiovascular disease, you don't see.
Well, you do, but we're getting off
association.
track. I was just making a point that industry-funded studies sway the results of the meta-analysis.
Right.
And I think that's fair. And it's done with the sugar industry, and it was done with tobacco. And again, I'm not comparing the amount of increased risk of cancer from tobacco. That was never a claim that was made. It was the playbook that is used by the drug industry, by the meat industry, by the sugar, by the sugar industry. By the dairy industry.
So even though your film came out and these studies came out right before your film, it's kind of proving your point that this same company that tried to exonerate the sugar industry is also...
Yeah, if you're going to accept that, if you're going to cite that as evidence...
You're going to cite that company,
the reason I think, because like you said, you're so busy on many other things, is I just don't think your finger's on the pulse.
That was not the only study.
No, I know it's not.
There's
but like
many
I said,
other meta-analyses, 2010, 15. We can look at them.
But let's do that.
Okay.
But can I
So
can,
yeah,
so can I
let's
just
do
point
that.
out though the one?
Well,
Can you?
let's look at those studies.
No, sure.
So,
But again, they're funded. You know, they're including studies that are funded by industry, and so unless you can pass those out and say, is that?
we can't rely on any study.
No, I didn't say that. That's the straw man.
So,
I said that you would really need to look at the way in which a study is designed
straw
to
man.
see if it was viable. And you also have to replicate stuff. You know, like studies have to be replicated. And so what I'm saying is,
so there's
can
a,
I just finish the last point now? Like I have to show as many studies as you want. But again, you can show as many studies as you want. You can't prove you're not handpicking them to suit your life. You are the one who quoted this study. It shows that your finger's not on the pulse because hundreds of like top scientists have written letters or the same letter to the Alabama Management asking for those studies to be retracted. And there's now an investigation into the annals of internal medicine, yet you are citing
an
that study.
investigation. It doesn't prove nothing has been
It doesn't prove
proven
anything,
yet,
but it
and
shows
I was aware of that
I'll keep
controversy.
an eye on Vesper,
And
and we'll
And you
get
can't,
the
you
leads.
can't even read forest plots.
It's
You're
not.
telling people
It's
what to
not.
do.
You'll need to find a
The
reactor key
controversy
to
is
get to
not
the Spire
surprising
cell.
if red meat has been
I've highlighted
demonized
the area
for as
it's
long as it
likely to be
has
stored
been,
on your
and then
map.
a study comes out which exonerates it. It's adept at reading the literature and learning from experts in nutrition, medicine, anthropology, etc. Although I do have master's level training in nutrition.
Okay, so is it fair to say that any one study cannot show what the human race should be eating?
Where were we? Oh God.
Fair? Any one study.
Absolutely.
So basically, anytime you show a study, if you say something, you have to give a citation. Health Organization recommends that people eat a nutritious diet based on a variety of foods, origin.
His is the oldest registered distillery in the United States. Perfect for making Tennessee whiskey. Charcoal mellowed drop by drop for smooth sipping. Just not the easy way, but it's his way.
It's so hard when it's minimized like that.
Mainly from plants rather than animals, which you said you could agree with, right? Because it's like not vegan necessarily, like mainly from plants.
Yeah.
I'm watching it today to show you what 2 tablespoons of peanut butter looks like, or 2.5. Because the one I had, I looked at it, and it's surprising, like
There now.
when you actually measure a real tablespoon, it's actually not that much peanut butter. And like, so mine I figured out has about like 2.5 tablespoons and 2 pieces of bread. My bread has like 6 tablespoons. Oh, brand new recipe. Anyway, so
More like 2 or 3.
yeah, but again, like we showed a piece of whole wheat bread on there. We're advocating eating mostly whole foods. That's a whole grain. No one is saying. We even said in the film, if we wanted cherry pick, we just try and push plants. We said white sugar and white flour are bad for you, associated with weight gain. Carbohydrates from whole food sources and better lean body mass, lower body fat percentage, and everything else. But anyway, so. I don't understand your math. What I think you did is you took that article, because articles that spread from that article forgot to put the bit in parentheses about devout 2 pieces of bread. So you take 5 tablespoons of peanut butter at 4 grams a piece, that's 20 grams, right? Which is around what beef is. So that's 30. So why did 24 grams of your hand-picked lean beef, which you don't even necessarily, like, there's no reason that you should be picking that when that's not what we showed in the film. Why are you comparing 24 grams to 30 grams? Why didn't you say 4 tablespoons of peanut butter? Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Got it wrong again. Okay? So this is what, it's frustrating when I watch the show, because like every 5 minutes I'm hearing something that's just factually incorrect.
Well, that's why you're here.
That's why I'm here. Now, again, appreciate to both of you. So can we just look at the breakdown of all these different things? So again, the peanut butter sandwich I has 22 grams, but that's maybe a little bit more than like something.
The other argument was the quality.
We'll get to that, but quantity first. So if you go to bread on slide 5, well, I don't need to do this. You've agreed. You've agreed. Right, okay. So, and lentils, if you want to do slide 8. Oh, no, sorry. What you haven't agreed on is, I'm going to say 2 tablespoons of peanut butter and 2 pieces of bread. Okay? Fair enough? I'm just going to say, like, the comparison roughly. I mean, you can put a bit more peanut butter in it.
Protein content.
Yeah, I'm just going to show you.
3 tablespoons.
So can you just...
3.5 tablespoons of peanut butter and 2 pieces of bread.
No, I'm going to show you how... I'm going to back up what I said in the film. So let's just go through the slides quickly, if that's okay. So slide 5. And apologies to all the listeners who don't get to see
That's
all my
okay.
slides.
So tell them to go to YouTube.
Yeah.
Here we go.
So this is USDA. So I don't know where I get the numbers from, but I went to the USDA site. Unfortunately, it changed in October, so it's not quite the same as when we were making the film. But anyway, one slice of bread, 5 grams of protein. You accepted that, right?
Something here? No?
The peanut butter, 2 tablespoons, 8 grams. You accepted that. You accept that 2 tablespoons of peanut butter has 8 grams. Okay, we could have more. I have like more, whatever.
Okay, there we go.
So you agree that 18 grams of protein for
Okay, how do I get up
that's
higher?
the sandwich we showed in the film, whole wheat bread, peanut butter. Okay, so the next slide, and again, I'm being very conservative on this, like in the amounts. So now we look at lentils, 1 cup, 17.9 grams of protein. That is USDA again, we're going to accept that. It's like, yeah, I know that on the large, on the left side, 1 cup, that's USDA. But you accept USDA when it comes to this, but not the
Talking about quantity of.
You accept, okay, cool. So we're on the same page.
This is something that's been clearly mentioned. This is not some recommendation.
No, okay, cool. But we're on the same page. We're taking this as a source. Okay, so now if we go to slide 9. Sorry, the one we just had. The eggs. Yeah. So 3 eggs, 18 grams of protein. Would you say so far we've got about as much protein in the peanut butter sandwich? The 2 tablespoons, not 5 times less. No, I'm saying, no, I'm getting to the beef. I'm saying, so far what I have presented, just the 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, and it's came to 18. I was really conservative, right? I could have put more peanut butter, I could have had bread that had more, if you wanted. I don't want to do bread, but you didn't make me can get bread. So I'm being really conservative. But you, so far, peanut butter sandwich, 2 tablespoons. And we should try that out.
I don't want to apply it by accident like that.
Okay, so, anyway, I told you.
3 large eggs.
3 large eggs, okay, so
18 grams.
So now we go to organic. This is organic ground beef. That's organic ground beef. So, 17.5 grams. If you want to, because that's per 100 grams, so I can,
What's the fat percentage?
Shouldn't that go away? Oh, fuck. Oh, fuck. 3 of them.
So it's half that.
but sorry, it's 9.2 grams per 100 grams. We have to, but that's, okay, but this is the regular organic ground beef. So this is,
Ouch.
and then to be fair, I knew you'd bring up a grass fed. So that the lowest and the
Can I
highest.
switch my arm to drone
So go to
arm?
grass fed
Where I did.
slide 11.
What the fuck?
3 ounces. This is on the very low end. This is probably the package. But you wouldn't be against animal fat, right?
Not typically.
Oh.
Depends on the person.
But we're just talking about protein around. So lowest 14.4. On the highest end, I actually think my number, 18 grams. Okay, so peanut butter sandwich, 18 grams. Lentils, 17.9. Can we round it up?
Gonna be nothing again.
3 eggs, 18 grams. Okay.
3 ounces of beef, 18 grams at best.
Right, when I looked up grass-fed beef. Now,
So
if you
it's
go, now,
essentially
if you go,
saying
now,
exactly
I'm not
what you
saying,
said.
I'm not saying if you go with 90% lean, you can have more protein, no doubt. So you can find protein that's got higher. I said about. I was trying to show that dispel the myth that you know, plants have no protein and animal foods have all this protein. So I've just shown you there. Now your second point was that the problem with his second point was the problem with the peanut butter sandwich, to get 18 grams of protein, I think this is a fair point, you would have to eat 410 calories, right? So if you go to slide
It's
50,
actually the more important point, because I'm not necessarily, that may not be a problem. It's that you're saying.
no, but I just want to get the protein. No, I know. We're just doing So you look at the next slide 50. Your argument was 18 grams of protein. So try the 18 grams of protein. Then if you want to come to calculation, stop. Fine. I have this. Okay, 18 grams of protein. 31 calories. Okay? Because you like, I love that people like to think about the peanut butter sandwich and try and compare those. Even though we were right in protein, now you're trying to pick on the calories. So you didn't pick the lentils, which have 231 calories. The next one, slide 16, has it's about 210 calories. Grass-fed beef in the first instance. Grass-fed beef in the first instance, slide 17, 275 calories, and that was on the one that wasn't so lean, and 70% lean beef. And I'm just pointing out there's different ranges. 470 and 18 grams of protein, right? For fatty beef, you don't get the fat, but that's bad, right? Okay, so 70 grams. So he's talking about the protein percentage. And there was less in my there was more protein percentage-wise in my peanut butter sandwich than there was in the green beef. And then the last, no, not the last one. Yeah, we could have picked something with less calories. So if we picked tempeh, for example, slide 19, 170 calories. So again, would you say?
But I think his argument was
no.
Yeah, the argument was quality of protein.
No. There was two arguments.
The part of it was you have to consume more calories.
Okay, but just before, can I just prove it at one point? Yeah. So the first part was you can't there's nowhere near as much protein, and then there was like, oh, it's based on the calories, so the percentage of protein is.
You would have to have more calories to get the same amount of protein.
Which is not true. You don't have to. You don't have to. Okay, so he made a mistake again.
That was not the central part of my argument.
No, but it was a part of it. It was a part of it, though.
Quality.
Yeah, it was quantity and quality, and the quantity was broken down into two things. You just can't get as much for you just can't get as much in that serving. They're totally wrong. You'd have to have 5 tablespoons of peanut butter. Totally wrong. Agree?
Agree that you don't have to have 5 tablespoons.
Right, thank you. Okay, and then you also said that you'd have to have so many calories that you couldn't get it, and you were wrong again. Agree?
For the peanut butter sandwich, or just in general?
Just in general, from plant foods.
No, I agree that you don't need to have 600 calories of lentils.
Right, so can we get slide 20, sweet potato and leek omelette from Chris's site, where the protein is coming. So this is from your site, 18 grams of protein, 410 calories. The funny thing is, I typed in recipes, and I think this was either the first or second that came up. All I do is pick the first 2 high protein recipes from your site. Because I didn't pick the soup or the salad because that would be unfair, so I picked the first couple. So sweet potato and leek omelette, the protein coming from eggs, 18 grams of protein, 410 calories. Do you have an issue with your own meal? So do you have an issue with the peanut butter sandwich having 410 calories?
No.
Okay, second one.
I said, that wasn't central to my point.
There was a secondary part. There was a secondary argument.
To get not the same quantity.
Which is not. Would you just admit it's not?
Quality.
Which is
DS score.
We'll get the DS score in a minute, and I will show that you were wrong again. So taro and bacon hash, slide 21. 18 grams of protein, 570 calories. If you want to go to your breakfast of champions, which I thought, for athletes, slide 22. And by the way, I took your data, I didn't do USDA. I assumed that you were not buying. So I took the totals from the bottom, but I standardized it for 18 grams of protein, and we're just comparing everything percentage-wise. 688 calories. Do you think that people should not eat that meal?
Depends on who we're talking about.
It's low protein. It's low protein, right?
I don't think that people shouldn't eat it.
Is it low protein?
Can't rely on that for your protein.
Right, so first of all, it's low protein by most people's standards, but your standards of protein are much higher, so that would be far off. So that would mean to make up for the rest of the day, you would have to have meals that were almost just protein, or maybe they'd have to buy the protein powder from your website in order to make that up. Anyway, so let's move on to now the, by the way, slide 23, largest study ever done comparing completely plant-based eaters with study showing plant eaters versus
75 grams per day.
That was the average.
Aren't you supposed to have 1 gram per body weight, per pound of body weight?
No. That's at the upper end for athletes.
Okay.
Yeah. So 0.8 grams. 0.8 grams. This is how much they were actually getting. The largest study ever done comparing plant-based eaters. So you can see it's about the same, and actually per pound of lean body mass, fat-free mass, the vegans were getting slightly more because they had better body mass index. They were slightly leaner. But anyway, just want to say it's roughly similar. So your next argument was that athletes need more protein, right? Well, no, it wasn't an argument because you admitted that I pointed it out in the show. Yeah. So if you go to slide 24, I just want to point about the amount that we're actually
Okay,
requiring.
we're going into the amount now.
We're in a mountain of athletes.
Yes.
Because his point is like maybe you can get enough to survive, but not to be an athlete.
Oh, fuck.
So I'm gonna look at.
I don't think that was his point. I think his point was that
No, he
there's
did.
a different requirement
No.
for athletes.
Yeah, there's a different. We weren't arguing on this point. Your point is you need more. His recommendations, though, when he does it, push it into a really high consensus, showing that then trying to make it out that it's hard to get. We've already shown that you can get enough protein for calories, protein. So I just wanted to show two positions on this, and then we can see if you again you don't agree with the consensus. So this is the joint position paper of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics, the Dietitians of Canada, and the American College of Sports Medicine. So this is for athletes, okay? This is just one. I'm going to show you another in a second. Do you want to read it out, Joe? Because you might get bored of my voice.
Current data suggests that dietary protein intake necessary to support metabolic adaptation, repair, remodeling, and for protein turnover generally ranges from 1.2 to 2.0 grams per kilograms per day.
Okay, and the next slide, Jamie, if you can bring up slide 25.
Use that and have it in my...
Yeah, okay, I just want to make sure we're on the same page.
Okay. Protein supplementation beyond a total daily protein intake of 1.2 grams per grams a day.
You said 1.2.
No, I said 1.6.
Oh, okay. Then you said 1.2. You read the thing from the last one. That's pretty convenient.
That doesn't make any sense. Okay.
Yeah.
1.6. You're 1.6.
Oh, maybe. I thought you said 1.2.
No worries.
Anyway, whatever.
No worries. Protein supplementation beyond a total daily protein intake of 1.6 grams a day during RET. That's resistance exercise training. Provided no further benefit on gains, muscle mass.
These are like really high. And if you look at the I'm not going to
kilograms.
So hard is that ammo?
Body weight 2.2, so we're 1.6 grams, so it's less than 1 gram.
0.7273 grams per pound.
So you're looking at about 3/4 of a gram per pound recommended. Anything over that provided no gains.
Yeah, but I want to clarify. So you can see the two-phase point analysis on the top right. Yes. Okay, so you can see as the chart goes up and then it flattens out. There was no further gains in fat-free mass.
Yeah, I have plenty of alloy.
Y-axis after 1.6. However, there's a something called a confidence interval. Like how confident are they these findings are correct? And it was a very wide confidence interval. So it actually took it was 6 grams either side. So it was actually up to 2.2 and down as low as 1. So it's 1 to 2.2. The other one, the Academy of Nutrition Dietetics and the Academy of Sports Medicine was 1.2 to 2. So the widest range is 1 to 2.2.
So you think that this recommendation, that's a standard thing that you hear in a gym, 1 gram per pound, but it's probably just...
No, that's legit. That's legit at the upper end. So 2.2 grams on the upper end, 2.2 grams per kilogram of body weight per day is 1 gram per pound of body weight. So no doubt, and this is you're talking about certain athletes like bodybuilders, strength athletes, but a confidence interval means to apply to everybody. Some people could actually build and this is about optimally building muscle as fast as possible.
Right.
And some people could do it at 1 gram, some people like 2.2, but like regularly it would like 1.6, 1.8. Like, the scientific consensus is that, and you said you agree with these ranges.
Nervous in there.
Yeah, there's some evidence suggesting that higher
alloy.
amounts
What's in
may be
there?
beneficial. So if you go to Jamie, you can search for examine.com. How much protein do you need? There's an article there. And examine.com is a
That's just what I wanted.
I know on a panel of scientists.
Not the American College of Sports Medicine.
The indicator amino acid oxidation method, which is newer. If you scroll down, Jamie, to the optimal daily protein intake for athletes and similarly athletic adults. You see in that paragraph, IAO studies and athletes found different numbers because 4 of the 49 studies in meta-analysis that had that range, lower range, were conducted in people with resistance training experience. The other 45 were newbies.
Shit, there's a lot of them.
IAO studies found different numbers of amino acids required 1.4 and for male body builders.
This seems the same. Like it says the average amount of protein required to maximize lean mass is about 1.6 grams per kilogram. It's the same exact.
It's like, we don't even need to argue it. It's like totally accepted in the sports world, like whatever.
But it also says some people need upwards of 2.2 grams per kilogram. For those interested in comprehensive breakdown, it provides another link. So we're in the range.
We're not far off from this.
It says regular trained male endurance athletes require 2.1 to 2.7 grams per kilogram. So that's a higher range.
Yeah, so, and you did say something about 2.3 to 3.3 in one, and remember in one study you pointed out.
That was just, doesn't actually help you build more muscle mass, but if you're trying to lean out,
Yeah, and also I think some of the studies that we looked at, like one at 2.3, I've actually got it on my computer, I don't have it in my slides, but there's one at 2.1 to 3.3. You've got to know, there's two things about that. One, it's when you're in a caloric deficit, because of gluconeogenesis, you pull some of the protein, you use some of that energy, so there's less protein, less for building. So if you're a bodybuilder cutting for competition trying to get down to like 4 or 5%, then your protein requirements go up above that's normal range because you're basically you're in caloric deficit, so you're using some of the fuel.
And that's also the case with those carnivore people and a lot of keto people as well.
Yeah, and they probably adapt some, because like in normal people, you can actually only, during exercise, you can only get 10% of your energy from the oxidation of
It's all
protein.
coming together now.
But, so the, where were we going? So the 2.3 to 3.1, by the way, it's one in caloric deficit, and it's two based on fat-free mass qualifications. It's not based on total body weight, which is what all the recommendations are on. So the 2.3 to 3.1 in some of these studies, if you did like, okay, it's almost 15% body fat,
Right,
it would
you
bring
have
it
to-
down.
right.
It wouldn't be 2.3 to 3.1
It's
based on total body weight.
3.1 based on the
Fat-free body mass. So if you're 200 pounds and you've got 20% body fat,
Right.
you only weigh 160 pounds for this calculation.
Got it.
Anyway, where we are. So you like to talk about the IAO in terms of these recommendations.
Fire cell and that
And
reactor
if
is
you look at
reaching
slide
out,
102,
trying to
then,
grow out of the cage.
how am I doing, by the way?
Hang
depending
in
on the
there,
film?
little cell.
Excellent. You're really doing really well.
Good. Not bad for a dumb old UFC fighter, right?
You're not bad.
41. Going great. I just started. Look what I did. Look what I did to the top of my head this morning. I cut it. I just started. Like the last couple of months, I started shaving it.
How much protein can the body use in a single meal for muscle building, implications for daily protein distribution? Showed upward of C1 of 2.2 grams per kilograms a day in cohort of young male bodybuilders. All method of assessment indicator amino acid oxidation technique used in the study
All that.
has not received universal acceptance
For
for
nothing?
determining optimal
I guess we gotta kill
requirements.
this
So it's
guy.
in that same range.
So I'm a couple things. I'm not trying to point out that your IAO is off. I'm saying if you want to take your IAO, if you want to use that, then the upper complement is still compensated. So the scientific but you threw out a bunch of these numbers.
Where's the guy?
First of all, I've shown that I've shown that vegans can get sufficient protein, and I've shown that I've shown the levels that the scientific consensus on the protein ranges for athletes, and not in scientific consensus with these 3.3.
Yeah, workbench
But even if there
would be
were, there's no
slow,
reason you
buddy.
couldn't get it on a plant-based
I
diet.
didn't argue that everyone should be eating 3.3 grams.
No, but you did argue. You made out that vegans couldn't
Protein.
get enough protein, and you were wrong.
I didn't say they couldn't get enough. I said that it's less likely that they will get
No,
enough.
but it's not though. If they eat like some of those recipes on your website, they're getting less. So you're being disingenuous, Chris. You're like
Well,
Joe.
the first recipe was sweet, right? Was it?
No, it was had eggs in it. It was a.
The second one. Oh,
No, it was a sweet potato and leek omelette. It was a
it's an
taro and
omelet.
bacon hash, and then it was breakfast of champions with milk, yogurt, and eggs. So, all I'm saying is, people that watched the last episode where he was bashing the film, people walked away thinking you can't get enough protein, and then they thought the quality's not good enough. And now we can get into that.
Let's get into that.
Let's get into that because this is the crux of it, right?
Yes.
It's
Grab
like,
your right arm
you can
and
get all
pull
these
to
nutrients.
remove
acid
it.
content.
Then
like,
place it on the
first of all,
workbench.
B12 is an argument. Smash that. Protein is the next argument. I've just smashed the protein quantity argument. Now we'll get into the quality.
Pick up your new arm and
We
attach it.
certainly smashed the protein quantity versus caloric intake.
Right, and so it's fair to say, is it fair to say that based on what I've presented, you can get about as much protein from the things that I said,
Well,
These
based on
weapon
what you
upgrades
presented,
aren't
you
just
haven't
getting
lost
you
an
access to
argument
better
yet.
weapons. You
There's
can
not
also
one
carry
thing
more
you
of
said
that type of ammo.
that
By the
Thank you.
time you get a few
that's
schematics
incorrect.
for
And I
one
even
type of
agree,
weapon,
if
it
you're
can
going to
make
eat
a
some
pretty
meat,
big difference.
should be some elk. You went 100 yourself.
So let's get into the
Okay,
amino
so
acid
oh
content.
yeah, love this. I was like really like doing like researching for this. I really enjoyed it because there were so many flaws that I was just like, I was a truth seeker, right? So I went for the search for the truth in combat. You know, Bruce Lee would say, research your own experience, absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, add what is specifically your own. I don't care about all the George Dillman, you know, BS about you can knock people out. I don't care about that. I don't care about all these traditional styles of martial arts. I care about what is the truth. Before I did this, you know, I thought, oh yeah, paleo diet makes sense. I actually switched to grass-fed beef because of the omega-6, omega-3 ratios. I started eating chilled chicken, but then I read the research, and I wasn't biased by like anything other than finding out the truth between the optimal diet for health and athletic performance and recovery in my injuries. And that is the truth, and that is what I have done. And now we're going to expose how you were incorrect about the protein quality. So you said, what's a little disingenuous about the film, they said every plant has every amino acid. Well, yeah, nobody disagrees with that. But it does it have enough of each of them? Well, first,
Okay. Let's get back into it, shall we? Okay. I can definitely concentrate on this better without fucking Joe Rogan on. Would have been better for like what's it called? No Man's Sky, something like that, where you're just collecting supplies. This is too. Anyways. guys again. Oh wait, maybe no. I need that key. Where's the fuck's that key at? Is it there? What does that mean? It must be. Why can't I get my drone arm? Pissing me off. Drone arm. Yes.
Grab your right arm and pull to remove it.
Maybe it's
Then
me.
place it on the workbench.
I swear I've done this 3 times now.
Pick up your new arm and attach it.
Why is that not working? Maybe I still don't know how to shoot the drones. Why did it work that time? No. Where the fuck's the key? God damn it. I'm gonna get that key. That's gonna be sweet. Everyone's gonna die. That's the new rule. Did not help me any whatsoever. Get him, boys. Oh. Big Daddy's here. Nope. What is it? That really hurt. I hate this game. Holy shit. Can't win with that. This fucking brutal. Okay. What's that? It was fucking there the whole time.
That's the reactor key. Get to that reactor.
Oh fuck, I didn't mean to throw my... No! Shots.
Log. Damaging the plant causes a spike in scan readings from the spire. There's no longer any doubt that they are linked. I will attempt to decode it, see if this thing can be understood.
That's the reactor. I can't imagine what it feels like for the cell imprisoned in there. Please get it out.
Wow.
Not to mention, you just knocked a few of the Tempest screws loose. Great work there.
What the fuck do I do now? Have to destroy that? Okay. Why is that on my objectives? This thing's gonna fuck. Like, if I hadn't heard her say that, like, let's say I have the sound down. How would I know to do that? You would just see it and have to assume. That's weird. That's fucking weird. Something really evil's gonna happen when I arrive there, isn't it? How do I destroy it? I can music it like that. Like a panel I can... Oh, that seems bad. This seems bad. This does not seem right at all. Do I kill enemies? Do I look for a switch? I think it's that guy. Okay, it's easier than I thought. How do I destroy it?
desperate. You've got a decent reserve of alloy there. The best thing to do with it is to upgrade the workbench to fabricate better weapons.
Shots 18 and 47. Easy. Oh, of course there's that right behind it. Still don't know how to destroy the reactor. I could level up in this game. That felt like such a waste of time. Like, do I just shoot at it? Do I destroy it? What the? Okay, I need to unlock the storm portals. And I have no idea where the fuck they would be at all. I don't know. I think I need a break. Spent so much time in this game for like no reason, it feels like. Made so little progress. Went to the top, killed everything. I'm gonna have to come back. I'm gonna call it reach, right? What? They're not supposed to be here yet?
This one didn't have a key, but it can still help us find one.
Yeah, I need a break.